presented by Gienda Peldrin Blanche King, live from Studio A at Fengudron Bange in Douala. To begin the news this evening, we talk about news from the Presidency Head of State. His Excellency President Paul Biya has appointed Secretary Generals of regional councils throughout the 10 regions of the country. Article 1 of the decree stipulates that the newly appointed Secretary Generals will assume their functions effectively from the date the decree was signed. Details in the following report with Nora Kakebi.
Yesterday, January 25, 2021, the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, appointed various Secretary Generals to all the 10 regional councils across the country. Following the presidential decree signed yesterday, Giyo Peter Yerima is the Secretary General of the Northwest Regional Council, while Gilbert Acha-Kwenti will assume the same responsibilities in the Southwest Regional Council. It should be noted that these new Secretary Generals and their newly acquired responsibilities and functions will henceforth accompany the pioneer regional executives to ensure the putting in place of the special status granted to the 2 English-speaking and troubled regions of the Republic. Noke Ngwese Anthony is a Secretary General for Littoral Regional Council. Meanwhile, Minkanda Allen Patrice is a Secretary General for the Center Regional Council. Apart from these 4 Secretary Generals, whose names have been mentioned above, there are 6 others representing the other 6 regions in the country. Cameroonians are anxiously waiting for the appointment of 2 public independent conciliators in the 2 restive regions of the country to complete the special status promised them, especially after the appointments of the different Secretary Generals of regional councils. Some political analysts have raised concerns that several appointments from the central government to the regional councils will eventually overshadow elected regional officials and therefore undermine the very essence of effective decentralization.
The Democratic Union of Cameroon has appealed to the Administrative Court in Bafoussam for the cancellation of regional elections in the West region of the country. According to a communique from the party, the decentralization code was not respected. Audrey Zatsa in the following report.
The Democratic Union of Cameroon, led by Patrician Damjoya, mayor of Fumban, has made a series of condemnations in a communique released recently. To begin with, it denounces a fallacious representation of the Noon population at the Regional Council office. According to the press release, within the Regional Council office, of the 20 seats that belong to the Noon, 17 are from the UDC and 3 from the Traditional Command. In addition to this technical defect mentioned by the party, the non-respect of Article 276 of the Code on Decentralization, which speaks of respect for the sociological component of the region, is equally being denounced. The political party castigates the fact that a monarchical tendency is taking shape in the Noon, where its elected officials, although in the majority, are despised, objectified, and constantly unfairly fought by an incestuous and paradoxical coalition of traditional authority and of some who exercise the power of the state in the division, yet supposed to defend the law and the republican order. Again, the communique condemns the use of positions of power of the CPDA members for political settlement and the already proven instrumentalization of the Regional Council for politicians' objectives. It is important to note that during the regional meetings of December 6, 2020, the UDC won 17 seats in competition in the Noon department. Ultimately, within the bureau, the UDC feels left out.
We now move over to the southwest region of the country, where an explosion has left 3 persons severely wounded in Limbe 2 subdivision. The explosion occurred at about 10:30 p.m. last night at the Sokolo Old Road entrance. The 3 persons affected are police officers, all stationed to ensure the security of the Rwanda team as the players left the Limbe Omnisport Stadium after training. The device exploded a few kilometers to the Limbe Omnisport Stadium. Let's now get an excerpt from an eyewitness. Let's get an excerpt from an eyewitness who gives us details of how it went by in Limbe. We'll revisit the excerpt from the eyewitness who took note of this incident on that fateful day. Meantime, it is worth noting that this is coming at a time when separatists have imposed a lockdown in the southwest region, all in an effort to disrupt the ongoing African competition in the southwest region. This is the second explosion recorded in Limbe since the start of Chan 2020, less than 1 week after an explosion at Mile 4 in Limbe. Still in the southwest region, a council session to oust Gregory Mewanu as councillor of Kumba 1 and the city mayor of Kumba has failed to hold for a second time. Yesterday, councillors waited for the mayor to open a session to deliberate on the eligibility of Gregory Mewanu as councillor of Kumba 1 Council when they were served an injunction order from the court suspending the session. It should be noted that the session was previously suspended by the SDO on grounds of insecurity. Let's watch the highlights as councillors expressed their grievances yesterday through our correspondent, Stamfo Sidwan Dembia.
That for the sake of peace, for the sake of order, for the sake of tranquility, let us, in a family style, try as much as possible to accept what I've explained to you from us, that we want an injunction to that office. That office should be closed for peace to reign in Cuba. I want to thank you all very much for the kind attention. I have something in mind which I will not say because I don't know what all the councillors think. It's not possible. It has never happened anywhere else in Cameroon. It's only here in Kumba. Do you think Kumba, because people are quiet, they don't know, they don't want to speak? We can speak and we can do things. Trying to create a dissension amongst us. CPDM is dying in Kumba. And what you are trying to do now, you want to be the killer.
If this song does not hold today, I'm tendering my resignation. This is not my father's property. I'm tendering my resignation tomorrow. Enough is enough. I've stood for the CPDM party, people which they are councillors, which they cannot deliver the goods, and they are making noise around the town, which they are convicts. I'll tender my resignation tomorrow to you. This song does not hold today. If you come and tell us that the court has said, a court is a political party. The court is a political party. This is a political affair.
So please, the mayor informed us that he had just been served by a bailiff. And he said he is going to follow up. If we stand now and we are warning our mayor, I'm surprised at some of our actions. That I have been advised by all of you, or most of you.
The people of Koba in Konya subdivision, southwest region of the country, decried the poor states of roads and lack of potable drinking water. According to them, it is a Herculean task to transport farm produce from the farms to markets, and they are made to pay huge amounts of money to cover short distances. Eileen Sama reports.
Farmers, traders and locals of Koba, a community in Konye, Meme division of the southwest region located along the Kumba-Manfe Road, have called on the Cameroon government to come to their aid and construct farm-to-market roads, provide them with potable water and other amenities. For over 5 years, the road in Koba has not been passing, reason why the youth of the community mobilized themselves to work on the roads while pleading with the government to put an end to their sufferings.
Koba Road is not passable. Vehicles do not come here for a period of 5 years. That is why the village has decided to organize general community. As you see, people are there walking. We are opening the road there so that the Koba people are really suffering. We need roads.
The road decides
we start work to our road, we go work to our road perfectly. In a chronicle manner. Yes. No man is support against it with the expense on support because we support it come up. So we say all decide to go open the road, we start work and motor enter fine.
Godi, a bike rider in Koba, believes that through their efforts, government can intervene.
Actually, road mud. This is the condition for the road. We try to see how we will make community. At least through this effort, government to really help us to see the problem we will get.
It is unbelievable that for 5 years and counting, Koba village has seen no car plying its road due to its rocky nature and deplorable state. Reason why the fathers of the village also joined their sons in the community road works.
Yes. Road. You see, small people with big burden the day. Because for 5 years now, we need to see motor for this village. Now, why would the village don't take initiative to organize general community? As you see people that work through. See the road as it is. Yes. So, with the crisis, make government take total control for make sure say they dig this road for we, so that nobody see motor for our village.
The people of Koba say they are tired of living in such a devastating condition without two basic amenities, road and water. Note should be taken here that all transportation in Koba is done through motorcycles, and reaching the nearby locality, Wonye Bakundu, for health services is like a nightmare for patients.
Thanks, Arlene Isama. You're watching for 6:30 Prime News on My Major Prime TV. Newly elected executives of a Catholic school, Aze and Bamenda, have promised quality education to all their pupils of the school. The commitment was taken during an enlarged meeting which took place recently in Bamenda. Fon Quinta completes this story in the report that follows.
Parents and stakeholders of Catholic School Aziwisumo Mankon, in an enlarged Parent Teachers Association meeting, have taken firm commitment to ensure quality education for their children despite security challenges. The parents took the commitment in a PTA meeting convened by the new EXCO elected on November 21, 2020, as they presented their achievements 60 days in office.
Many thought the PTA is only to chop money. My own dream is not that, but physical work, which is for the welfare of the children, from what the parents did themselves have chipped in.
Charles Kebwacher, PTA president of Catholic School Aziwisumo Mankon, presenting their successes after 60 days in office, applauded parents who have braved the odds and sent their kids to school despite the crisis, coronavirus pandemic and hardship. Presenting projects realized within 60 days in office, which stands at 80%, Charles Kebwa assured parents his wish and the entire ESCO is to better the sanitation and well-being of both pupils and teachers.
We have been able to, within 60 days in office, drain the pit toilet of the school. We have equally made sure that we extend water on the campus in 3 good points, equally to fight corona and be sure of hygiene and sanitation within the school. We have, within this time, equally add the nursery section itself, ensure that, there should be a standby flush toilet there, which is very functional.
After listening to the presentation of the new executive, the school proprietor and manager, Reverend Father John Bosco, like Oliver Twist, appealed for more projects in the institution in order to make learning more comfortable for pupils.
On our cultural page, the 3rd edition of the International Day of African Cultures was celebrated in Batoke Village, Limbe subdivision over the weekend. The 1st edition was celebrated in Douala, the 2nd in Yaoundé, and the 3rd edition in Limbe, as our reporter Kumono Rimbom tells us in the following report.
The population of Batoke Village in particular and Limbe 2 subdivision at large have been called upon to valorize, preserve, and promote their culture as a heritage inherited from their forefathers. The call was made by the traditional ruler of Batoke Village, His Royal Highness Chief Otto Mulungu Moliver, during the celebration of the 3rd edition of the International Day of African Cultures. Celebrating on the theme, Africans, let's reappropriate, preserve, valorize, promote, and transmit our cultures to our children, the royal man of Central Africa regretted the fact that our cultural heritage, inherited from our ancestors, are gradually disappearing as a result of adulteration by the Western cultures introduced to us by modernism and colonialism. He added that the disappearance of our culture has greatly affected the foundation of our traditional institutions, thus causing the non-respect of traditional values, which today has led to the extinction of some useful cultural values.
I think you saw the various traditional dances, like our main Ghanaian dance, which is the mystical dance, which is the one who takes care of the community. They came out today to showcase and to present themselves. And with that cause, we are going to initiate the young ones so that as we are going, they are going to remember it.
On her part, the regional delegate of culture for the Southwest region, Madame Grace Ewang, congratulated the chief of Batoke for being one of the traditional rulers in Cameroon who canvassed for the institution of the International Day of the African Cultures. She promised the support of her ministry to ensure that this day is celebrated yearly in Limbe 2 subdivision and the Southwest region at large. The ceremony, which took place under the distinguished patronage of the divisional officer for Limbe 2 subdivision, Serge Meke Abel, witnessed the participation of cultural groups from across the nation, including some neighboring nations like Nigeria. The divisional officer called on the chief to continue the celebrations not only in Batoke village, but to extend subsequent editions to other villages in Limbe 2 subdivision and the Southwest region at large. The event ended with a visit to the exhibition stands and a salvo of the rich African menu displayed by the Queen Lady of Batoke village.
Gladys Bomotongina has African news compiled in the French language.
En Somalie, on parle de près de 10 personnes tuées et plusieurs blessés dans un affrontement entre combattants somaliens qui seraient entraînés au Kenya et les hommes ont tenu à attaquer dans leur base fédérale à la frontière Somalie-Kenya, plus précisément sur le territoire de Jubaland. Les représailles ont débuté dans la nuit de dimanche jusqu'en matinée de lundi. Le ministre de l'Information somalienne accuse le Kenya d'être un support pour les rebelles qui ont attaqué ses forces fédérales et pour plusieurs autres faits concordants. Selon le ministre, 100 de ces rebelles ont été apprivoisés lors de cet affront. Face à cette situation, les deux pays voisins sont en tension diplomatique. Au Maroc, les autorités administratives ont décidé du début de la campagne de vaccination contre le coronavirus cette semaine avec le royaume chrétien qui, depuis lundi, est déjà en plein dans l'action. Le pays a pour projet de vacciner les 33 millions d'habitants qu'il renferme. À cet effet, la ressource humaine nécessaire a été mobilisée, à savoir des médecins, des pharmaciens, des infirmiers et bien d'autres. Selon le gouvernement, les premières personnes à y bénéficier sont les travailleurs de la santé, les enseignants, les forces de sécurité, les personnes âgées de plus de 75 ans et les personnes vivant dans les zones à taux très élevé de Covid-19. En Afrique du Sud, plus précisément dans la communauté musulmane de Johannesburg, les enterrements se font dans le respect de la tradition islamique, indépendamment de la crise sanitaire qui sévit dans le monde actuellement. Tout ceci grâce à une ONG ayant reçu l'autorisation auprès des autorités du pays et ayant jugé leurs actions compétentes. En effet, l'enterrement de masse est contraire à cette religion, raison pour laquelle le personnel de cette ONG sont munis de tout équipement de protection individuelle. Ceci pour permettre à chacun de leurs défunts de bénéficier des rites traditionnels.
It's time for sports. Let's join Etape Content for details of yesterday's scores and the complete sports updates in the French language.
La République du Congo a obtenu le passeport pour les quarts de finale du Champ 2020. En terminant à la première place du groupe B, les Léopards de la RDC, 2 buts, les Menas du Niger, 1 but. C'est le verdict du match qui s'est déroulé hier soir au stade d'Amadou Ahidjo à Yaoundé, poule C, 3e journée. Au début du match, les Nigérians ont été les premiers à tenter leur chance. À la 3e minute, l'attaquant du MENA, Alidou, reprend le ballon, mais son tir passe à quelques centimètres des bois adverses sur un mauvais dégagement du gardien congolais. Après le centre du demi-terrain d'Inonga, à la 27e minute, Jones Kabungu saute plus haut que les défenseurs des MENA et marque le premier but avec la tête. Malgré les changements opérés en attaque, c'est à la 73e minute que l'équipe du Niger parvient à égaliser le score par le but de Moussa Issa Moussi avec la tête plongeante. Ce but a été nourri par le centre bien appliqué de Haruna Amadou. Les Léopards touchés par ce but à la 2e minute du temps additionnel, la sélection de la RDC marque le but de la victoire par Massi qui profite d'un mauvais dégagement du portier nigérian pour doubler la marque. Les poulains de l'entraîneur intérimaire Pamphile Kazambe terminent la phase de la poule avec 7 points. Ils prennent la première place du pool B et affronteront le Cameroun, pays hôte, en quart de finale samedi prochain au stade de Japoma. Dans ce dernier complexe sportif, le Congo-Brazzaville a battu la Libye hier soir 1-0. Grâce à la première victoire des Diables Rouges en phase de groupe, le Congo a obtenu sa qualification pour les quarts de finale avec 4 points et termine 2e de la poule B. Au second tour, les Congolais vont défier le Mali. À l'affiche ce soir, à 20h, l'Ouganda rencontre le Maroc au stade de la réunification ici à Douala. À la même heure, le Togo contre le Rwanda au Limbe Stadium.
Thanks, Etape Content. With our sports package, we end today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. Stay with us for developments and updates of the stories you just watched. The news was coordinated by Faith Tata Berignoy, produced by Ewane Eli Nolinga. My name is Genda Belgium Blanche King. See you tomorrow at 6:30, God willing, for another edition of Prime News at 7 p.m. Cameroon time. Prime Hour will be live with Kumluna. Join today's edition of the program as I talk about issues affecting Cameroon, Africa, and the world. Happy viewing and good night.